Wanted to get here and talk about the Orioles. Wanted to give everyone an update on my Achilles. It's coming around. 2 more weeks, I get my cast removed and I get into a walking boot, and that's going to help me get around a lot better. It's a gradual, tedious progress. I'm hoping to be able to drive sometime in October, but at least when I get the walking boot, I should be able to get around a little bit better and gradually put some weight on the bad leg. So just to give everybody an update on that. As for the Orioles, I was running pretty hot last night. It's as a fan, it's always the way you lose the games. It's not that you lose them, it's the way you lose them. I literally sat here next to my wife Terry last night. I told her what was going to happen pitch by pitch on the Vlad Jr. at bat. I told her where they were going to pitch it. I told her where they were going to hit it. I know the Orioles and the coaching staff, and I know they have more information than I do. I'm not trying to claim I know more than anybody else, but I've watched a lot of baseball over the years. I knew that was going to happen. They pitched him basically the same way. And I'm not saying the pitchers didn't miss their spots at times, but saw it coming. A carbon copy of the other night when they pitched to Vladimir Guerrero. Santander saved their asses with a circus catch. Why do they keep pitching to him, for Christ's sakes? I mean, I understand he's on a heater right now and he's doing it to everyone. But if I can sit from my living room and see this coming, why didn't Adley see that coming? Why don't they see that from the dugout? Why isn't there a mound visit? I mean, you just keep pitching him the same way, and you're not coming inside to him, and he could just lean out and do whatever he wants to do. It's passion. It's not really anger. It's passion as a sports fan. And I'm sitting here yelling at the TV. I'm yelling at my wife. I'm not yelling at her, but you know how it goes. And that's a good thing. I've missed being able to be this passionate about the Orioles when, for all those years, I've watched every game. I've attended, 13 to 30 games every year, even when they lose 100 games. It's nice to be angry again and passionate about the Orioles. I want to talk about some trade deadline stuff. I still think overall the trade deadline was really good to the Orioles, given what the market was. I think the best trade line pickup in baseball was Jackson Holliday. I'm saying that in retrospect because he is a completely different guy right now. If you watch his swing, it reminds me of Gunner's swing. It's short and it just flows through the zone. I didn't realize he had that kind of power. That's probably the best pickup in Major League Baseball, given what other teams got, even though I love the Chisholm pickup for the Yankees. The Dominguez trade, really good trade. That trade was maligned at the time. Everyone was saying, oh, we got nothing for Austin Hayes. Not true. Dominguez is quite an accomplished late inning arm. His playoff resume is really, really good. I didn't see where people were coming from on that one. I love the trade, and he stabilized the back end of the bullpen here so far. The Eli Jimenez trade, at first I didn't understand it, but seeing what he's done, and acquiring Zach Eflin, who's been nothing but as advertised. Now, the big thing with these two is payroll. The Orioles picked up a whole bunch of payroll. We picked up $40 million in payroll on this deadline. This organization has never done that. I think that bodes well over the money they're going to have to spend in the offseason. I don't think signing Santander is going to be a problem. And I think they could compete to even sign a big fish like Corbin Burns. The commitment is there from the owners. Michael Bloomberg is worth over $100 billion. Um, Rubenstein is worth four and a half billion. So to put that into perspective, Bloomberg is 20 times richer than that. There's money in this organization. There's commitment. And Cal Ripken Jr. does not put his name on something that's not going to have commitment. That's why Cal Ripken stayed away from the Orioles for decades, because there just wasn't the commitment, and Cal knew it. Trevor Rogers, that was a project. I thought the Orioles gave up a little bit too much for a project that they're trying to fix and get back to the way that he was. I would have rather the Orioles got someone who was ready now to be a number 2, number 3 starter, maybe on the level of Eflin. Not a lot out there, though. Not a lot of teams improved because no big fish really moved. I did think Elias was absolutely fleeced on the Gregory Soto deal, and not just in retrospect. Gregory Soto, his career whip is 1.45, 1.7 whip this year, 5 walks per 9 innings. Resume is just not good enough to give up the level of prospect that he gave up. He gave up Seth Johnson, who was the number 8 prospect in baseball, for an organization that hangs on that tightly to its prospects. That was a big give for such a little return there. So a good job overall for Elias, but Dombrowski absolutely fleeced Elias on that particular deal. I don't see Gregory Soto even being a part of the postseason roster just because of just his past history. Right now, the reality of this rotation with Grayson Rodriguez out, that is a humongous loss. I'm hoping their optimism is correct, that he will return in September. The reality is you have a legitimate ace in Corbin Burns. You have a really good number 3, who I have no problem starting a playoff game, in Zach Eflin. That guy has quick resolutions in at-bats and only averaging 1 walk per 9 innings. Very pitch efficient. But outside of those 2, the other harsh reality is the other 3 are number 5 starters. I mean, Suarez, that's a good story. He's a journeyman, but at the end of the day, he's a number 5 starter. Like I mentioned, Trevor Rogers, he's a project. He's a number 4, number 5 guy. And the really disappointing guy has been Dean Kramer. It's really time to just understand that Kramer is what he is. He's never going to be any more than a number 4, number 5 starter. His career ERA is almost 4.5. He will tease you now and again. I think he has the stuff to be a better pitcher than that. I just don't think he has the confidence and the between the ear stuff to be any more than a number 4 or number 5. We've seen better out of him. I just think this is kind of what you get. You're going to get an inconsistent pitcher who steps up at times, and there's going to be games like last night where he doesn't have a clue. Having Dean Kramer as your number 3 starter is just not good enough, period. That being said, this team will make the playoffs. I'm hearing nonsense from people saying the Orioles aren't going to make the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to win the division. The Yankees stink too. Here's the thing, and I posted this yesterday. The Orioles, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Guardians, the Braves, and the Mariners, all under 500 since the month of June. Every one of those teams. The biggest culprit has been pitching. If you look at every one of those teams' monthly stats, the ERAs have gone up. Most of these teams are pushing a 5, 5.5, 4.5 plus ERA since June. Part of that is the extreme heat that is a big factor. But the other part of it is all of these pitchers going down, the replacement pitchers just aren't as good. Teams like the Orioles and the Braves have just been decimated with injuries. There's not a whole lot you can do on that. The thing I want to see the Orioles clean up, though, is beating themselves. These senseless routine errors. We have too many guys defensively out of position. Holiday's really not a second baseman, but he's trying to learn the position. Mayo is trying to learn a position at third base. You have O'Hearn in the outfield, who's not an outfielder. I don't know what we're doing sometimes defensively. We have all this talent, and it doesn't always fit into the puzzle. It's both Mike Elias' job and Brandon Hyde's job to make the puzzle fit, so to speak. I do think the Orioles have the most offensive talent in baseball, with the exception of the Dodgers. I think the Orioles are that deep from an offensive standpoint. Their numbers are still elite on the offensive side in terms of stats. I know it seems like they're inconsistent offensively, but every team is inconsistent offensively. So there's no team that's gonna run away with this. Barring a huge collapse, I don't see the Orioles missing the playoffs, despite it feeling like the sky is kind of falling. It's really not. The Orioles are going to be in the October mix in some way, shape, or form. So I just wanted to go over those things, and I will talk with you guys soon.